The room smelled like citrus polish and money. That particular blend always made me think of hotels where nobody actually slept. The investors were arranged in loose constellations, glasses tilted just enough to catch the chandeliers, laughter moving in waves. My father stood at the center, a practiced gravity to him, hands open as if he were always mid-gift. I hadn't planned to speak. I'd come because it was easier to be present than absent, because my name on the invitation still read family, even when my role never did. When someone pressed a flute into my hand and nodded toward the small platform, I understood the expectation. Children of men like my father were expected to be ornamental, brief, agreeable, gone. I stepped up and raised my glass. I could feel my pulse in my throat. The words I'd prepared were thin but safe. Gratitude. Pride. Acknowledgement without claims. My father laughed before I spoke. It was an easy laugh, warm, inviting. The kind that trained rooms to follow. Careful, he said, still smiling. Don't embarrass me. I'd rather raise a dog than raise you. The first laugh from the crowd was reflexive, like a cough. Then it spread. People glanced at me to see how to react, and when I smiled, they relaxed into it. He added, lightly, as if improving the joke, and let's be honest, you'll never be good enough to run my company. That one landed cleaner. Louder laughter. Someone clinked a glass. I smiled because that muscle had been trained for this exact moment. Because smiling was cheaper than explaining. Because explaining required believing someone wanted to understand. Inside, something folded itself away. Not broke, folded. Neatly. Like a document you might need later. I stood there longer than necessary, glass still raised. Long enough for the laughter to find its edge and hesitate. I felt my father's attention move on, already done with me, already greeting someone new. I thought of all the times he'd introduced me as helpful, instead of capable, interested, instead of qualified, of meetings where my notes became someone else's strategy, of being told I was lucky to learn by watching. I wasn't angry. That surprised me. I felt precise. When I spoke, it wasn't to him. I won't be running the company, I said calmly. My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else, older, steadier. That decision was finalized last quarter. The room shifted not dramatically, just enough. A ripple of attention tightening, I continued, because stopping would have turned it into a provocation. As of Monday, I stepped down from my advisory role and completed the transition of my shares. I'll be focusing on the foundation full time. Silence doesn't arrive all at once. It gathers. It asks permission. Someone cleared their throat. A woman near the front, one of the earlier investors, gray-haired, precise, nodded. Yes, she said, not loudly. That's correct. We finalized the paperwork. Congratulations, by the way. The foundation's structure is impressive. A few heads turned toward her, recalibrating. The silence settled. My father looked at me then. Not angry. Confused, maybe. As if I'd moved furniture without telling him. I lowered my glass. I hadn't toasted him after all. That felt appropriate. There was no applause, no satisfaction in that. Just a collective understanding that the joke had expired. Conversations restarted at a lower volume, different clusters forming. Someone asked me about the foundation, its focus, its timeline. I answered briefly. Factually. I did not look at my father again. Later, near the windows, he came to stand beside me. We watched the city lights. He said my name once, like he was testing it. You could have told me, he said. I did. I replied. He exhaled through his nose, the way he did when deals went sideways. You didn't have to say it like that. I thought about all the ways I could have said it. All the ways I hadn't. I said it accurately. He didn't argue. That was new. The party thinned. Goodbyes were exchanged. I left when it felt natural to leave, not early, not late. Outside, the air was cooler, unpolished. I stood for a moment on the steps, breathing. I didn't feel victorious. I felt aligned. Like a line had finally been drawn where it belonged. Some relationships don't end with explosions. They change temperature. They become survivable only at a distance. As I walked away, I understood that my answer hadn't cut him. It had cut the story he told about me. And that was enough.